Jey Uso shocked the world at WWE WrestleMania 41, defeating Gunther to win his first WWE World Heavyweight Championship of his career. Now he's won the championship, the task is, can he keep it? Well, he's going to have to go through several big name stars on the WWE roster. So the question is, just who is Jey Uso going to defend his World Championship against? We'll let you know some names who could be set to challenge the WWE World Heavyweight Champion in this countdown video. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Before we begin today's countdown video, you can see right there, we are just 6 subscribers away from 21,400 on that road to 25k. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and join the ever-expanding WNU, that being the Wrestle News universe. The goal this year was to get to 20k. We've absolutely smashed that target in April. So now we're on the road to 25k. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. And again, join the ever-expanding Wrestle News universe. In addition to that, you can become a member of the Wrestle News 365 roster. All you have to do is scan the QR code when it appears on the sidebar, or you can click the join button or the link in the video description. You get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members-only content. All right, let's get into this countdown video. And as I said in the intro, Jey Uso, the brand new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Uso defeated Gunther in WrestleMania 41's opening contest on Saturday to win the World Heavyweight Championship at the, 4th time of asking. And now that he is the top champion on WWE's Monday Night Raw brand, the question is, who is he set to defend the championship against? Let's get into some names that could be set to challenge Uso for the title, beginning with Logan Paul. Now, we saw this past Monday on Raw that it looks like Logan Paul, the social media megastar, is set to be Uso's first challenger for his newly won World Heavyweight Championship. Paul interrupted, well, he actually called out Jey Uso, didn't he? And said that Jey Uso was going to hold on to his World Heavyweight Championship just as long as he held on to the Intercontinental Championship when he won it from Braun Breaker the prior year, and that wasn't very long. Uso only held the championship for a couple of weeks before he dropped it back to Braun Breaker, and Logan Paul was predicting the same thing here. Now, Logan Paul, it wouldn't be his first opportunity at a World Championship. He has previously challenged for the title, going up against the likes of Roman Reigns as well as Cody Rhodes, but he was unsuccessful on those occasions. And given the fact that Paul is still a part-time talent, I know he likes to say that he's a full-time WWE superstar, but he still doesn't do as many dates as everyone else, you think that it's unlikely that Logan Paul would win the World Heavyweight Championship, in particular, given that it's Jey Uso's first defense of the gold, but anything's certainly possible. And many people do think it's a question of not if, but when Logan Paul does indeed win a World Championship. Of course, as I said, if he commits more time and makes more appearances for WWE, which he consistently says that he wants to do and that he's going to do. He is still very green when it comes to his in-ring performance, but clearly the guy has a natural ability for it when it comes to his aura, when it comes to his promo skills. Obviously, he's got incredible in-ring ability and incredible athleticism, so many consider him to be the total package when you consider the notoriety and the publicity that he gets WWE every single time he's on television and every time he steps in to the squared circle. So whilst Logan Paul probably won't be the one to end Jey Uso's World Heavyweight Championship reign, that doesn't mean he's not going to be a world champion at some point in his WWE career. He's already been a WWE United States champion, although when he was the US champion, he didn't defend the championship that many times, and he didn't actually appear on WWE television with the US championship that much either. Still, maybe if he was a world champion, he would be forced to attend television tapings more often. But it looks like possibly as soon as Backlash, a watch-along for which we'll be doing live and a post-show, it looks like Logan Paul will be set to challenge Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship at the upcoming Premium Live event in St. Louis, Missouri. Let's move on and talk about CM Punk. Ever since CM Punk returned to WWE, the question has been, when is CM Punk going to challenge for a World Championship? Is it going to be the undisputed WWE Championship currently held by John Cena? Of course, he won it from Cody Rhodes, and many people predicting that CM Punk will challenge John Cena at some point for his WWE Championship later on this year during Cena's retirement year, but he's a member of Monday Night Raw. Ever since he returned to WWE, he signed with the Red Brand, and that means the World Championship seemingly he'll be competing for on his roster is the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, after CM Punk vanquished Drew McIntyre after their Hell in a Cell match, or certainly after Bash in Berlin last year, there was a feeling that Punk was seemingly going to turn his attention to challenging Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. In fact, Punk, actually on an episode of Raw, called out Gunther as that's what he wanted to do next. He wanted to challenge for the World World Heavyweight title. Now, CM Punk has held the WWE Championship before. He's also held the World Heavyweight Championship before in WWE. In fact, the World Heavyweight title was the first world title that Punk won in his first run with the company. Now, this version of the World Heavyweight Championship seemingly is a different World Heavyweight Championship, so you could say technically it's a title that CM Punk hasn't won. Therefore, maybe CM Punk would want to go after the World Heavyweight Championship instead of the WWE title. In addition to that, Jey Uso has to be legitimized as a world champion. There's one thing to be elevated into the main event scene. There's another thing to be considered a legitimate contender for a World Heavyweight Championship, but you have to be seen as legitimate in the main event scene as the world champion. How do you become legitimate as a world champion? You defend your title over and over again, and you not only have great matches, but you beat legitimate opponents. You beat legitimate contenders, and then people start to take you seriously as well. That's a legitimate contender. He's defeated. He's a legitimate champion. And it doesn't come more legitimate than CM Punk, a multi-time WWE and World Heavyweight Champion. He's pretty much done it all in WWE. One of the most popular stars on the roster today. One of the most experienced stars on the roster today. One of the most name-recognized stars on WWE's roster. So a match against Jey Uso in which CM Punk puts over Uso could be massive for Jey Uso's credibility as the World Heavyweight Champion. Now, speaking of credibility, does it get bigger than the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns? Now, we've seen Roman Reigns face off against Jey Uso many a time in WWE. Throughout Roman Reigns' record reign as the undisputed WWE Universal Champion, Jey Uso challenged Roman Reigns not once, not twice, but 3 times for the championship. Whether it was at Night of Champions back in 2020, whether it was inside Hell in a Cell in an I Quit match in 2020, whether it was at SummerSlam several years later in 2023 that Uso went after Roman Reigns. But in all of those occasions, Jey Uso lost because at that time, Roman Reigns, he wasn't going to drop the championship anytime soon, but times have changed. One of Roman Reigns' desires when it came to the Bloodline storyline, that is still kind of ongoing to this day, one of his desires was to elevate people associated with the Bloodline, whether that be Jey Uso, whether that be Sami Zayn, whether that be Kevin Owens, regardless of who that may be. You could make an argument that the person that's been elevated the most when it comes to the Bloodline saga is Jey Uso, elevating him from one half of a tag team into a World Heavyweight Champion. Now, can Roman Reigns do any more for his cousin? Well, maybe he could put him over when it comes to a main event World Championship match. It's one thing that Roman Reigns hasn't been able to do thus far. It's actually put Jey Uso over in a match where the title has been on the line. Jey Uso has pinned Roman Reigns. Remember that too. Jey Uso was the first person to pin Roman Reigns in years at Money in the Bank in 2023 in a tag team match that involved Reigns, Sikoa, and the Usos at Money in the Bank that was in London. Jey Uso was the one to pin him. That led to their match at SummerSlam when Jimmy Uso turned on his twin brother. So possibly, maybe we have a situation once Roman Reigns is done with Paul Heyman and once he's done with CM Punk and Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker and all of that craziness that's happening with Paul Heyman at the helm, maybe he decides, right, I'm going to go after a championship. Maybe it's not going to be John Cena's WWE Championship. Instead, maybe it's going to be the World Heavyweight title, a title he didn't hold previously. And because of that, maybe he's going to have to go up against his cousin in the process, and maybe, just maybe, Jey Uso, like he was finally able to defeat Gunther at WrestleMania, will finally be able to defeat his cousin, Roman Reigns, when it matters, with a World Championship on the line. That would certainly be very interesting to see, wouldn't it? Now, speaking of Paul Heyman and the faction that we've seen on Monday Night Raw, what about Braun Breaker? You feel like this year could be the year for the former Intercontinental Champion to make the step up and become a World Heavyweight Champion. When you look at people like Gunther at WrestleMania last year, he lost the Intercontinental Championship to Sami Zayn. By SummerSlam, he was the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Braun Breaker this year at WrestleMania, he lost the Intercontinental Championship in a fatal four-way match with Dominic Mysterio becoming the brand new Intercontinental Champion. And I think a lot of people do expect, possibly as soon as this year, for Braun Breaker to win the most coveted prize on the Monday Night Raw roster, that being the World Heavyweight Championship. Ever since he debuted in NXT 2.0, he has been earmarked as one of the next faces of WWE. That's why he's always been shadowed by the likes of Paul Heyman. That's why he's now in a faction alongside Seth Rollins and the Wise Man to elevate Braun Breaker into a main event level candidate for the World Heavyweight Champion. And you feel like this could be his year, and I wouldn't be shocked if Braun Breaker isn't the immediate person to face, obviously, Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship. But you feel like when the time comes for Braun Breaker to face Jey Uso, he might be the one to dethrone him and become the World Heavyweight Champion in the process. I mentioned previously the Intercontinental Championship. That would be integral to this whole storyline involving Braun Breaker and Jey Uso. It was Jey Uso who won his first major singles title by defeating Braun Breaker on an episode of Monday Night Raw last year. But as I also mentioned, it was Braun Breaker who just 2 weeks later won the championship back thanks to some interference from the Bloodline. So they both actually have victories, major title victories over the other. So going into that, it could be a bit of an even contest. Two guys that were previously feuding over the Intercontinental Championship 1 year, just a year or so later, could be set to feud for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. A major step up for both, and you feel like it could be a kind of coronation moment for the son of Rick Steiner, which many do assume at some point he's going to become not just a world champion, but a multi-time world champion and possibly one of the next faces of the WWE as we enter a new generation of talent. So, Braun Breaker facing Jey Uso at some point in the future. I don't think it's a case of if, it's a case of when. It feels pretty inevitable, doesn't it? And if Braun Breaker is going to be facing Jey Uso, then you feel like the inaugural World Heavyweight Champion on Monday Night Raw, at least this version of it, Seth Rollins, will also face him too. Seth Rollins, of course, he was, as I mentioned, the inaugural WWE World Heavyweight Champion when the title was introduced by Triple H, winning a tournament that culminated at Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia. Then Rollins held the championship all the way until WrestleMania 40 Night 2 when he was defeated by Drew McIntyre in the opening contest of that night show. Ever since then, Rollins has been, I guess, sidetracked with a lot of other feuds, whether it be the likes of Big Bronson Reed, whether it be the likes of CM Punk, whether it be the likes of Roman Reigns. He's been involved in all of it, and maybe he's taken his eye off the ball when it comes to the World Heavyweight title. But now that he's aligned with Paul Heyman, now that he's aligned with Braun Breaker, he's got strength in numbers, and that could be very valuable when it comes to possibly taking the World Heavyweight Championship back. Seth Rollins has claimed he is the future of WWE. He has said that flanked by the Wise Man, flanked by Braun Breaker, he is the most important man in WWE, and if he's going to be the most important man on Monday Night Raw, he has to once again be the World Heavyweight Champion. And you feel like it's just a matter of time until Rollins gets an opportunity to challenge Jey Uso for his title. Particularly when you win the main event of WrestleMania, as he's mentioned several times since WrestleMania 41 Saturday, when you win the main event of WrestleMania, that is one of the most coveted spots on the WWE roster. And when you defeat the likes of CM Punk and Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania, that's a lot of credibility, and you have to think he would be on his way to be challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship. Like he said, he stole CM Punk's best friend, Paul Heyman. He stole Roman Reigns' wise man, Paul Heyman, and he won the main event of WrestleMania 41 Saturday. Therefore, you think possibly he's not going to be Jey Uso's first challenger, but he might be his next one after Logan Paul, because as we get closer to the summer, a big event like SummerSlam, a two-night affair, possibly Seth Rollins could be the one to challenge Jey Uso and maybe even dethrone Uso as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. So there you go, guys. There are 5 WWE superstars that could be set to challenge Jey Uso for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship in the future. What do you think of that list? Are there some names that I've missed? Are some names more likely than others? Who do you think is actually going to be the one to dethrone Jey Uso and become the next WWE World Heavyweight Champion? When do you think that will be? Do you think Jey Uso will have a long title reign, a short title reign? What do you think is going to happen? Let me know your opinions, your hot takes, all of your thoughts in the comment section below. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. As I mentioned previously, right there, we're at 21,394 subscribers, just a few away from 22,000. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. On the road to 25k. If you haven't already, you can join the ever-expanding WNU. In addition, you can scan the QR code when it appears on the sidebar, join the WN365 roster, get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members-only content. You can also join by clicking the link in the video description or the join button. Appreciate everyone for tuning in, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.